No, I know you weren't, but I'm just saying.
How do you lock it?
What do you mean, lock it up?
Yeah, I have mine locked over on the bike rack. But yours has
I have a cable, so I just like loop it through there.
Mine doesn't have that. So I end up putting a old kryptonite U bolt around it. We need a drone here really badly.
Oh, yeah.
Is that guy in the White House a threat to democracy? Are we here to tell him about it? And we've got some more channels. Luke Thornton.
We've been all been together 5 times. We're going to do it again and again until enough people get here that we can start this petition because we want everybody to have a chance to arrive and be there. So, no faith, no hate, no fear. Everyone is welcome here. 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 No fear. Everyone is welcome here. No hate, no fear. Everyone is welcome here. Billionaires, bend the knee. We demand democracy. Billionaires, bend the knee. We demand democracy. T-A-C-O, Donald Trump has got to go. 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 Democracy is under attack. Stand up. Fight back. 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 No fear, no hate. We will not capitulate. 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 When I say people, you say power. When I say who's got the power, you say we've got the power. When I say what do we want, I suggest you say rule of law. People! People! Who's got the power? What do we want? Rule of law. People! People! Who's got the power? What do we want? Rule of law. People! People! Who's got the power?
We got the people.
What do we want? Rule of law. People! People! What do we want? People! Who's got the power? What do we want? Rule of law. Good. I know there is so many power. Something else that Trump out now! 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 Trump out some more! Very good.
Young and indivisible who organized this rally. And my name is Bruce Allen. I'm your host today, and we are fired up. Thank you, Bruce Gordon, for that. We are so lucky to be here where we are today. We are right here in Fort Townsend. We are grateful to our police department, the Fort Townsend Police Department, especially Brian Shaw, who is with us for today. We have a safety team here. They are spread out all over the place. If you have any minor concerns, bring them to them. But really, we're all eyes and ears. If there's something really serious, please do 911 or whatever it takes. This is going on all across the country. This isn't just us. There are millions of people, over 2,000 demonstrating this movement does not stop here either or today. It will continue. We are lucky for another reason. Our police and our sheriff will not work with ICE. When it comes to immigration, we are fortunate for another reason. Since way back in 2007, we have had people working with immigrants locally. They have formed an organization called the Jefferson County Immigrants Rights Association, JCIRA. Say it. JCIRA.org. And you can go find out what they're up to. Going back to the days when the Border Patrol had checkpoints on highways in Jefferson County, they have been actively helping immigrants with all kinds of things, all kinds of support here and in detention. They keep track of where ICE is and what they're up to locally, and we can help them. They tell us that things look pretty safe right now, but we know how fast things can change. In a minute, I'm going to share an emergency phone number, Jasira's emergency phone number with you. So get ready to take it down. There will be some people circulating with posters also that you can, there it is right here. You can take a picture of this also. May I also? Yes, people have been asking me what they should do if they see ICE doing their thing and it looks sketch. So call that number in an emergency situation. Take pictures of what's going on, but don't post them, please. And don't interfere, but do let the city know. I'm going to read that number slowly for you now. It is 360. Angela, repeat that. 360 531 2958. Again, that is 360 531 2958. And will you be over there after the rally? If you want to check in with Kate Franco, she will be at the picnic shelter over there after the rally, and you can see what Jasira is up to. Before we go further, I think it is time to have just a moment of silence. If you have not been following the news today, I'm sorry to tell you that an assassin really killed two legislators in Minnesota. And also other folks, their partners were injured. Actually, the Representative Melissa Hortman and her partner Mark were killed, and as I understand it, Senator John Hoffman and his partner are in the hospital. So let's send out a thought for them just now. It is so sad that it has come to this. Thank you for that. Yeah, what about it? So, I'm about to introduce Tina. So So there were dozens of volunteers with Indivisible who put this thing together today. And we need Indivisible for Townsend more than ever. And we have organized the demonstrations so far this year, and we will continue to organize them because I have a feeling this isn't the end of things. Now I'm heading off to Gina McNather, who has been our leader.
Awesome to see everybody here today. Walking in.
So we're at the protest.
Coming in. Thank you, guys. Getting it together and getting out here. Give yourselves a hand. Some people say, well, we heard about Indivisible, but we didn't know we had an Indivisible chapter right here in Fort Townsend.
Yeah.
And yes, since 2017.
Yeah, they actually neither of them have a phone. We just left them.
And we're getting bigger, and people are getting more. Get the information out of what's going on. We have monthly meetings. We learn about stuff, we talk about stuff, we plan actions, we do stuff.
Yeah, well, I can bring it back by. I'll
Send cards to our legislators about hot issues. We have a number of different teams on different topics like healthcare and immigration and foreign policy and elections. We also have some folks that do tasks like the wonderful, let's hear it for the folks doing security today. Social time as well, because that's part of what it's about, is working with people who care about the same things you do. And Google Fort Townsend is Indivisible. It will come up with our webpage. And so I encourage you to go take a look and see what's going on, see what's coming up on the calendar. It's a way to get involved, and we also have a lot of fun. Coming up, we'll be having more demonstrations. There's going to be any major one happening in July 4th, but I'm sure there'll be something to do after that. So stay tuned and come back and let's do it again as long as we have to do it. Thank you.
Thank you, Gina. And those meetings take place on the second Tuesday of the month, every month, at 5:30 at the fairgrounds. So join us next month. We had a really good one this month. This movement does get stronger day by day. We have had just about enough of that con man in the White House. He is a threat to democracy and the rule of law. This is a special day in many ways. First of all, it's Flag Day, and that flag is our flag. Whose flag is it? Whose flag? 250 years ago today, we decided that we didn't want a king. And we're done having kings. What's the name of the rally? We formed an army, and it took a while to boot the British out, and it took a while to get the Constitution, but we did that, and we have defended it, and we have improved it, and we have stood up to fascists, and we have promoted democracy around the world. Now, the biggest threat to our democracy is in the White House. Does that sound like our country? There are ICE agents rounding up folks and sending them God knows where. Does that sound like our country? This week, a U.S. Senator was handcuffed for asking a question. Does that sound like our country? This week, we have the military in our streets for no good reason. Does that sound like the rule of law? Of course it doesn't. Not under our Constitution. We rely on the rule of law. And that brings us to our three local speakers. Each of them served our country in the military, and each of them has a message for us. I'm going to introduce the first one. Our first speaker is a former Army captain and who now serves as our Jefferson County prosecutor. Please welcome James Kennedy.
Thank you so much, everyone, for giving me the honor of speaking. Thank you. All right. So, several weeks ago, Bruce Cowan asked me to speak at this rally, and I quickly jotted down a rough draft of things that I wanted to talk about. However, so many things have changed in the past few weeks that much of what I wanted to talk about doesn't really matter anymore. In the past, just even in the past few weeks, we've seen the president trigger a protest in Los Angeles that he used as a pretext to illegally deploy the National Guard. A United States senator was dragged out of a conference and handcuffed by federal agents. Closer to home, the president just canceled the Columbia River Treaty with Canada and the sovereign nations of the Northwest. And this morning I woke up to read that 2 Minnesota lawmakers have been targeted in an assassination attempt. Last I heard, only one of them had deceased, but it sounds like 2 of them are deceased now along with their partners. There's much to be concerned about in our country right now. 20 years ago, I was on my first of 2 tours in Iraq, and we were told that it was part of our mission to win the hearts and minds of the Iraqi people. Winning the hearts and minds became a phrase that both Americans and I think the Iraqis came to feel very dubious about. So it's with some reservation that I tell you that we now find ourselves in a conflict in the United States of America where we are in a battle for the hearts and minds of our fellow Americans. The bottom line is that we need the support of our fellow Americans if we're able to obtain the change that we seek. Although there's a great turnout here today and across the country, the fact is that most Americans are not out protesting right now. Much of middle America is simply going about their business as usual. And I don't begrudge them for that. I understand that the time it takes to protest is a luxury that many don't have. But these are the people who we are competing for. Many of them will never agree with us on every item of our policy platform. Many may actually disagree with much or most of the policies that we support. But that's okay, we can have those conversations later. What we need to talk about are the things that go to the core of this country, the founding principles that we fought a war over to establish. Things like due process of law. Due process is so important that it's actually codified twice in our Constitution, in both the Fifth and the 14th Amendments. Due process is where we determine if a person deserves the legal consequence at issue. It could be prison, it could be deportation, it could be money, it could be their life. Other rights trail along in these processes, rights like the right to vote or the right to bear arms. Some of the people you talk to will care more about some of these rights than others, and that's okay. Because when we imperil a right through that lack of due process, we imperil all of them. There is no such thing as justice without due process. If you deport someone without due process, how do you know the person isn't even an American citizen? You don't. If you imprison someone without due process, how do you know that they are a guilty person? You don't. Bypassing due process puts every single American at risk. And not just Americans, but every single person in this country. There's also freedom of speech. Right now, Donald Trump punishes people who speak out against him. I think of one of the most famous quote that's famously attributed to Voltaire. I might not agree with what you have to say, but I'll defend to the death your right to say it. This used to be our mantra as Americans. Along with our flag, we should reclaim it. Another one is states' rights. This is an interesting one I originally wasn't going to talk about today. But I bring it up because the federal judge that ruled that Donald Trump's deployment of the National Guard was illegal had violated California states' rights under the 10th Amendment. So that's imperiled as well. I hope that these and other areas are some of the very fundamental things with which we can begin a dialogue for the hearts and minds with our fellow Americans. These are some of the many rights that the American flag stands for, things that we should embrace and be proud of. We need to reclaim it as a symbol of these freedoms and not let the people who hate this country and our traditions define it. Do you think Donald Trump actually loves America? No. Do you think Kristi Noem loves America? No. How about Pete Hegseth? Does he love America? No. They hate America. That's why they're trying so hard to turn this country into something it isn't. I do know that this battle won't be won by our elected representatives, and it won't be won by people on TV. It will be won by you and by the dialogue that you have with our fellow Americans. So I'd like to wrap up with a couple of quotes that have been kicking around in my head lately. Many years ago when I was in the Army, George W. Bush was the president. I did not like that man, and I wasn't feeling particularly good about my country at that time. And I recall we're making a disparaging remark about this country in front of another soldier, which is something I absolutely should not have done. And she turns to me and she says, "Sir, I came to this country from Nicaragua with my family when I was a child on foot. You have no idea how good you have it here." The second quote is something I heard when I toured Independence Hall several years ago. Supposedly, as the Constitutional Convention wrapped up, Benjamin Franklin was asked as he was leaving, "What kind of government are we going to have?" His response, "A republic, if you can keep it." The fact is that we still have it pretty good here, and things can get so much worse. And whether we can keep our republic is still an open question. We have much to fight for. This isn't over, and we're not going to let him take our country from us. Thank you. Now I have the honor of introducing our next speaker, Norma Bishop. Norma Bishop spent 21 years on active duty in the United States Navy. She served first in her early career as an air traffic controller and later, after entering philosophy from the University of San Francisco, in a variety of roles, including a last assignment as a base transition coordinator at Naval Air Station Alameda, California. There, she was instrumental in the transition of a military base to a wildlife reserve, a historic district, and site of innovative community redevelopment projects. A retired member of the California State Bar, she taught nonprofit finance and fundraising law at the University of California, Santa Barbara, and practiced in the areas of tax-exempt organizations and environmental toxic tort litigation. Working for the California Appellate Project, she also provided counsel for indigent criminal defendants in the appeals process. She has served as the CEO of 2 maritime museums in Santa Barbara and Wisconsin. She is a published author of feature newspaper and magazine articles, fiction, and poetry. Most recently, she gave a reading of her poetry from the anthology Strange Fruit, Poems on the Death Penalty at the Elliott Bay Book Company in Seattle. Please welcome Norma Bishop.
Good morning. Look at all of you. Wow! I want to thank you for being here today. And I'm not speaking lightly when I say that standing up for democracy takes hard work and guts. Yes. Unfortunately, today, we're all aware that there's an additional element of risk involved in standing up and speaking out. Nearly every day in the past week, as James said, I've had to revise my written notes for this rally because of actions by this administration that are intended to create hate and fear. Consider that for a moment. This administration is intentionally fomenting hate and fear. When did we think we'd ever see that coming out of the White House? Never before. Now I'll get on with it. Flag Day was always special to me as a kid, growing up in the Midwest. It's especially meaningful to me today. Mid-June, in Crete, Illinois, a small farm town of 2,000 people, was a day blessed by the glory of late spring in the Midwest. My father would ask my brother and I to bring out the flag from its cardboard box, where it was kept in the hall closet, except for occasions like the 4th of July, Memorial Day, Veterans Day, and of course, Flag Day. We'd take it out, being especially careful that it didn't drop to the ground, and place it in the stanchion on our front porch for everyone to see. That was the flag etiquette instructed by my father. And then we were ready to celebrate what for us was a trifecta, a national holiday, and my father's birthday, my dad's birthday. So you can see why I take this personally. It was a day to remember that people like him had stood up and fought, supported, and defended the Constitution of the United States, unlike the criminal who sits in the White House. You see, my dad was in the Navy in World War II, in the Pacific. He landed on Peleliu with the U.S. Marines in September of 1944. And for more than 2 months, he endured what was one of the most arduous and horrific battles of the Pacific. So you understand why the desecration of this day by the moral degenerate who sits in the White House sickens me. Yet, why this coward's attempt to mark this day as his birthday, as a symbol of his personal power, is so repulsive. As Americans, we've been adverse to grandiose displays of military might. That's for dictators and despots like who? Putin and Trump. Putin's Trump. Tanks rolling down the streets of our capital? That's not who we are, is it? No! My first written remarks included this statement. We must all realize that he will not hesitate to send those tanks into other American cities when he feels his power and control threatened. Well, that's come true, hasn't it? We know that he sent active duty Marines into the city of Los Angeles. An action, again, to inspire fear. We're not afraid, are we? No! The federal court, as Jim said, determined that to be a violation of the Constitution. We saw that happen. We saw a U.S. Senator tackled to the ground and handcuffed by security. Oh. So My dad passed away before I started my naval career. 21 years on active duty. I took the oath 6 times. Each time I took the oath, I was thinking of my dad and of shipmates who had died, fellow airmen I had flown with, others I saw perish before my eyes. Each time I felt my heart rise in my chest. Each word had weight. I've carried that weight, that obligation proudly all my life. And I am not free of that obligation even now. Nor are you. Let me ask, I know there's a lot of you veterans in the crowd. Raise your hand if you're a veteran. Let's see it. How many of you have taken the oath as a federal employee or office holder? Raise those hands. How many of you have taken it as a naturalized citizen? Yes! Now, I'm going to ask something of every one of you. If you've taken the oath before, I'm going to ask you to reaffirm that today. If you've never taken it, I'm going to ask you to take the oath for the first time. So listen carefully now. I am going to ask everyone to follow along in a loud, clear voice and repeat after me. Please. And you can stand up if you can stand up, because that's what we're doing. I do solemnly swear or affirm. I solemnly swear or affirm that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States.
That I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
Against all enemies, foreign or domestic.
against all enemies, foreign or domestic.
That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same.
I bear true faith and allegiance to the same.
That I take this obligation freely.
I take this obligation freely.
Without any mental reservations or purpose of evasion. Without
any mental reservations or purpose of evasion.
And that I will well and faithfully discharge these duties. That I will
well and faithfully discharge these duties.
So help me God or whatever superior power you look to. So
help me God or whatever superior power.
Spoken them twice with the intention in his heart to break that oath, all in service of killing democracy and establishing a dictatorial regime. Thank you. Look out for each other. No fear. Be safe. Be brave. Of introducing retired Naval Captain Mike Cornforth, an Academy graduate who qualified for submarine duty, who served more than three deployments in Vietnam. A great American captain from the Navy. And after retiring, he served in several positions as a consultant. He has a PhD in physics and certainly a PhD in patriotism. Please welcome Captain Mike Cornforth.
Afternoon. Can you hear me on the hill? Excellent. Today is the 250th anniversary of the founding of the Continental Army. That's quite correct. And, you know, you have to consider that's a fairly significant anniversary. It is also known, as you've just learned, Flag Day. And yes, it is someone else's birthday, too. That person is presiding over a military parade in our nation's capital in just a few hours. As a retired naval officer and federal civil servant with 46 years of service in the Department of Defense, I take particular offense to this. Donald Trump avoided service during the Vietnam War. That war, an ill-gotten war, I lost nearly 40 classmates in that war, and 7 of my classmates were held prisoner for many years. He insulted John McCain's heroic service as a prisoner of war in Hanoi. He has scorned deceased soldiers as, quote, suckers and losers, unquote. He called for the execution of General Milley, the former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. The optics of Donald Trump taking the salute of serving soldiers is deeply repellent to me. It is part of the reason I'm here today. But let's go back to the Army's 250th anniversary. And you know what? That's worth celebrating by the U.S. Army and the veterans of the U.S. Army. Let's go back to the reason that Army was formed at all. The Continental Congress established the Continental Army to resist the tyranny of the British King and Parliament. Some of their reasons are outlined in the Declaration of Independence. I will quote some of them, pausing after each one, so that you can let me know if these acts of tyranny are happening right now. He has refused, I'm quoting from the Declaration of Independence, he has refused his assent to laws. He has obstructed the administration of justice. He has made judges dependent on his will alone. You know, old fingers. Okay. Keep going. He has erected a multitude of new offices and sent hither swarms of officers to harass our people. He is combined with others to subject us to a jurisdiction foreign to our Constitution. For cutting off our trade with all parts of the world. For transporting us beyond seas to be tried for pretended offenses. Wow. You know, that was what, 250 years ago? We're back to that? Okay. Wow. All right, let's go back to what happened to the Continental Army. George Washington took command of the Continental Army and forced the evacuation of British forces from Boston. After many years of difficult warfare, the United States gained its independence in 1783. 7 years later, the U.S. Constitution was ratified. The Constitution establishes a Republican form of government responsive to the will of its citizens. Yes. And takes special pains to establish institutions and processes that prevent a recurrence of tyranny. Those institutions and processes are under severe stress today. Multiple violations range from the arrest and deportation of people without due process to the denial of congressionally approved funding, to the violation of international agreements and treaties, all the way to employing the armed forces against the citizenry and elected officials. It is readily apparent that our constitutional form of government is under attack. A moment ago, we swore an oath. Again, I should have spelled that first. Okay. A moment ago, we swore an oath to support and defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign, and I emphasize domestic.
Yes. Right on.
The Trump administration is an overt and direct threat to our constitutional form of government. This administration's unconstitutional and illegal actions perfectly describe a domestic enemy. It is indeed a domestic threat to our national security. I leave you with these words. 250 years ago, our forebears resisted tyranny. Now we must resist this new tyranny. Thank you.
We're almost done. It's been so great to have you all here. We are all part of a mass movement. It is a coalition of people. Each of us is here for our own reasons. We agreed on some really important fundamental things. We may disagree about many other things, as we've mentioned. I would like to remind you that this movement is a coalition and that we are peaceful demonstrators, that we are going to treat everyone with kindness and tolerance as we go forward. We'll be back as many times as it takes.
Yes.
We will have a home.
That's right.
We'll be back. Let's hear it again. We'll be back. We're getting into a rhythm and trying to do something every month or twice a month. Don't forget to patronize the local businesses that we've disrupted. Don't forget to check around for litter. We don't want to leave anything behind. And as I said, we'll be back as many times as it takes. And now I'd like to introduce Judy Alexander to read a very short poem, and then the folks will come up and you can go your happy way. Thank you for being here.
Thank you all for being here. Come back, stay involved. I'd love to see you at indivisible meetings. This is a poem about resistance, and the last sentence says the same word 3 times in a row. And I want to read that line 2 times, so you guys join in for the last repeat 3 times. Okay. In a time of hate, love is an act of resistance. In a time of fear, faith is an act of resistance. In a time of misinformation, education is an act of resistance. In a time of poor leadership, community is an act of resistance. In a time like this, joy is an act of resistance.
Right.
Resist, resist, resist. Resist, resist, resist. Go resist.
I got glass.
But you got a lot.
Oh yeah, but they were about 10.
Oh, well,
Hey. Oh, bicycle.